Jai.
Yo Mishnapad Paramahamsa Parivrajakarya Ashtotra Shashimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki
Jai.
Nanda Godi Vaishnava Vrind ki
Jai.
Namacharya Das Thakur ki
Jai.
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री धाधरा शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की
Jai.
गो प्रेमानंदे
Hari
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 Bol.
Bol.
all bodies assembled devotees, all bodies assembled devotees, all bodies assembled Guru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 9, The Passing Away of Bhishma Deva, and today's verses 13 to 15. So we read 13 first. Samstide
Samstide
Adirathe
Adirathe
Pandau
Panto
Sudha
Pradha
Bala Praja
Pala Praja
Vadhu
Vadhu
Yushmat
Yushvat
Kride
Yushmat Kride
Bahun
Bahun
Kleshan
Kleshan
Prapta
Prapta
Lokavati
Tokavadi
Moho
Muhu
Samstide Adirathe Pandau
Samside Adirade Pandu
Pradabala Prajavadhu
Pradapala Prajavadu
Yushmat Kride Bahun Kleshan
Yushmat Kride Kleshan
Prapta Tokavati Moho
Prapta Togavadi
Samstide Adirathe Pandau
Samstide Adirade Pandu
Pradabala Prajavadhu
Pradapala Prajavadu
Yushmat Kride Bahun Kleshan
Yushmat Kride Bahun Kleshan
Prapta Tokavati Moho
Prapta Togavadi Muhu
Samstide Adirathe Pandau
Samstide Adirade Pandu
Pradabala Prajavadhu
Pradapala Prajavadu
Yushmat Kride Bahun Kleshan
Yushmat Kride Bahun Kleshan
Prapta Tokavati Moho
Prapta Togavadi Muhu.
Hare Krishna. Sharajamaji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Samstide Adirade Pando Pradabala Prajavadu Yushmat Kride Bahun Kleshan Prapta Togavadi Muhu. Hare Krishna.
Right. To help you with music. Nirindamaji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
No.
Samstite Athirithe Pandav Pritha Bala Prajavadhu Yushmat Krite Bahu Klesha Prapta Tokavati Muhu. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Krishna.
Samstite, after the demise, Atirathe of the great general, Pandu, Pritha, Kunti, Balapraja, having young children, Vaduhu, my daughter-in-law, Yushmat Krite, on your account, Bahu, multifarious, Kleshan, afflictions, Prapta, underwent, Tokavati, in spite of having grown-up boys, Muhu, constantly. Translation: as far as my daughter-in-law Kunti is concerned, upon the great General Pandu's death, she became a widow with many children, and therefore she suffered greatly. And when you were grown up, she suffered a great deal also because of your actions. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. The sufferings of Kunti Devi are doubly lamented. She suffered greatly because of early widowhood and to get her minor children brought up in the royal family. And when her children were grown up, she continued to suffer because of her son's action. So her sufferings continued. This means that she was destined to suffer by providence, and this one has to tolerate without being disturbed. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text 14. Sarvam
Sarvam
Kalakritam
Alagridam
Manye
Manye
Bhavatam
Avadam
Cha
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 Yat
yad
Yat
Apriyam
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 Sapalo
Sapa
Sabalo
Yadvashe
yad
Yat
Yadvashe
Loko
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 Logo
Vayo
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 Iva
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 Ghanavali
ghanavali
Kanavali
Gunavali
Sarvam Kalakritam Manye
Sarvam
sarvam
Kalagridam
kalakritam
Manye
Manye
Bhavatam Cha Yadapriyam
bhavatam
Bhavatam
Avadam
Cha
apriyam
Yada Priyam
Sapalo Yaddeshe Loko
sapalo yad
Sabalo Yadvashe Loko
Sapalo Yadvashe Loko
sapalo
Sabalo
yadvashe
Yadvashe
Logo
Vayoriva Ghanavali
vayo
Vayodiva
iva
Kanavali
ghanavali
Sarvam Kalakritam Manye
sarvam
Sarvam
kalakritam
Kalagridam Manye
Bhavatam Cha Yadapriyam
bhavatam
Bhavatam Cha Yada Priyam
apriyam
Sapalo Yadvashe Loko
Sabalo
sapalo yadvashe
Yadvashe Loko
Vayoriva Ghanavali
vayo
Vayodiva
ghanavali
Kanavali
Sarvam Kalakritam Manye
sarvam
Sarvam
kalakritam
Kalagridam
manye
Manye
Bhavatam Cha Yadapriyam
bhavatam
Bhavatam Cha
chayat
Yada
priyam
Priyam
Sapalo Yadvashe Loko
sapalo
Sabalo
yadvashe
Yadvashe
loko
Loko
Vayoriva Ghanavali
vayo
Vayodiva
ghanavali
Kanavali
Jamaji.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sarvam Kalagridam Manye Bhavadam Cha Yada Priyam Sabalo Yadvashe Logo Vayoriva Kanavali. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Snigdhamaji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय सर्वकाल कृतं मन्ये भवतं च यत् प्रियं सफलो यद्दशो लोके वायोरिव गणाबलिः
Once again. Melindamaji.
Hare Krishna. Sarvam kalakritam manye bhavatam cha yad apriyam sapalo yad vashe loko vayuriva ghanavali. Hare Krishna.
Snigdhamaji can read. Snigdhamaji. Hare Krishna. You are mute. You have to unmute. Okay, Melindamaji.
Hare Krishna. Sarvam, all this, kala kritam, done by inevitable time, manye, I think, bhavatam cha, for you also, yat, whatever, apriyam, detestable, sab palaha, with the rulers, yat vashe, under the control of that time, loka, everyone in every planet, vayo, the wind carries, eva, as, gana avaliha, a line of clouds. Translation: in my opinion, this is all due to inevitable time, under whose control everyone in every planet is carried, just as the clouds are carried by the wind. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. There is control by time all over the space within the universe, as there is control by time all over the planets. All the big gigantic planets, including the sun, are being controlled by the force of air, as the clouds are carried by the force of air. Similarly, the inevitable kala or time controls even the action of the air and other elements. Everything, therefore, is controlled by the supreme kala, a forceful representative of the Lord within the material world. Thus, Yudhishthira should not be sorry for the inconceivable action of time. Everyone has to bear the actions and reactions of time as long as one is within the conditions of the material world. Yudhishthira should not think that he had committed sins in his previous birth and is suffering the consequence. Even the most pious has to suffer the condition of material nature. But a pious man is faithful to the Lord, for he is guided by the bona fide Brahmana and Vaishnava following the religious principles. These three guiding principles should be the aim of life. One should not be disturbed by the tricks of eternal time. Even the great control of the universe, Brahmaji, is also under the control of the time. Therefore, one should not grudge being thus controlled by time, despite being a true follower of religious principles. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes. 15. Yatra
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 Dharmasudo
Dharmasudo
Raja
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 Gadapani
Gadapani
Vrudara
Vrigodara
Krishna
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 Astri
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 Gandivam
Gandhivam
Chapam
Chapam
Chabam
Suhrut
Surat
Suhut
Krishna
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 Tato
Tato
Tado
Vipat
Vipat
Vibat
Yatra Dharmasudo Raja
Yatra Dharmasuto Raja
Raja
Gadapani Vrigodara
Yadapani Vrigodara
Krishnostri Gandivam Chapam
Krishno Sri
Krishnastri
Gandhivam
Gandhivam
Chabam
Dhut Krishnastado Vipat
Gut Krishna Tado Vivat
Yatra Dharmasudo Raja
Yatra
Yatra
Dharmasuto
Dharmasuto
Raja
Raja
Gadapani Vrigodara
Gadapani
Yadapani
Vrigodara
Vrigodara
Krishnostri Gandivam Chapam
Krishno Sri
Gandhivam
Gandhivam
Chapam
Chabam
Dhut Krishnastado Vipat
Suhut Krishna Tado Vivat
Vipat
Yatra Dharmasudo Raja
Yatra Dharmasuto Raja
Gadapani Vrigodara
Yadapani Vrigodara
Krishnostri Gandivam Chapam
Krishno Sri Gandhivam Chabam
Dhut Krishnastado Vipat
Suhut Krishna Tado Vivat Hare Krishna Prabhuji Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Yatra Dharmasuto Raja Yadapani Vrigodara Krishno Sri Gandhivam Chabam Suhut Krishna Tado Vivat Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna. Yes, Nilindamaji.
Hare Krishna. Yatra Dharmasuto Raja Gadapanir Vrigodara Krishna Stri Gandivam Chapam Surat Krishna Tato Vipat Hare Krishna.
Maji. Jai Shri Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Yadharmasuto Raja Gadapanir Krishnostre Gandhivam Chapam Suhrit Krishnastato Vipat Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Snigdamaji. Snigdamaji. I think she's not there. Okay, Milindamaji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Tasmat, therefore, idam, this, Daiva Tantra, enchantment of providence only.
What is that? What is that? Which one is using? We have to read 15.
Oh,
15.
I selected the wrong one. Sorry. Yatra, where there is Dharmasutha, the son of Dharmaraja Raja, the king, Gadapani, with his mighty club in hand, Vrikrodara, Bhima, Krishna, Arjuna, Astri, carrier of the weapon, Gandiva, Chapam, bow, Surat, well-wisher, Krishna, Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, Tatha, thereof, Vipat, reverse. Translation: Oh, how wonderful is the influence of inevitable time! It is irreversible, otherwise How can there be reverses in the presence of King Yudhishthira, the son of the demigod controlling religion, Bhima, the great fighter with a club, the great bowman, Arjuna with his mighty weapon Gandiva, and above all, the Lord, the direct well-wisher of the Pandavas? Purport: by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. As far as the material or spiritual resources were required, there was no scarcity in the case of the Pandavas. Materially, they were well equipped because two great warriors, namely Bhima and Arjuna, were there. Spiritually, the king himself was the symbol of religion, and above all of them, the personality of God as Lord Shri Krishna was personally concerned with their affairs as the well-wisher. And yet, there were so many reverses on the side of the Pandavas. Despite the power of pious acts, the power of personalities, the power of expert management, and the power of weapons under the direct supervision of Lord Krishna, the Pandavas suffered so many practical reverses, which can only be explained as due to the influence of Kala, inevitable time. Kala is identical with the Lord Himself, and therefore the influence of Kala indicates the inexplicable wish of the Lord Himself. There is nothing to be lamented when a matter is beyond the control of any human being. Hare Krishna.
Right, Hare Krishna. Verse 16. Na
Na
hi
hi
asya
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 karhichit
karichit
karhite
rajan
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 kuman
puman
puman
veda
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 viditsidam
viditsidam
vidilsidam
yad
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 vijitnyasaya vijitnyasaya
vijijnas
vijignyasaya
viji
vijitnyasaya
vijijnasaya
Vijitnas
vijijnasaya
yukta
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 muhyandi
muhyanti
mukhyanti
kavayo
kaviyo
kavayo
api
api
abhi
ki
hi
nahi asya karhichit rajan
nahi
nahyasya karhijit rajan
rajan
kuman veda viditsidam
puman
puman
veda
veda
dikshita
vidilsidam
yad vijitnyasaya yukta
yad
yat
vijignyasya
vijijnasaya
yukta
yukta
muhyandi kavayovihi
yanto
mukhyanti
kaviyohi
kavayovihi
nahi asya karhichit rajan
nahasya karhijit rajan
rajan
kuman veda viditsidam
puman veda
puman veda
vidikshita
vidilsidam
yad vijitnyasaya yukta
yad
yat
vijignyasya
vijijnasaya
yukta
yukta
muhyandi kavayovihi
muhyanti
mukhyanti
kaviyohi
kavayovihi
nahi asya karhichit rajan
nahi
nahasya karhijit
asya
rajan
rajan
kuman veda viditsidam
puman veda
puman veda
vidikshita
vidilsidam
yad vijnasaya yukta
yat
vijitnyasaya yukta
yad
yat
vijignyasya
vijijnasaya
yukta
yukta
muhyandi kavayovihi
मुह्यन्ते
मुह्यन्ति
कवयोभिः
कवयोभिः।
Sahajamaji.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नहस्य काफिचित् राजन् पुमान् वेद विदिल्सितं यद्विजिज्ञासया युक्ता मुह्यन्ति कवयोभिः। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Maji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. न ह्यास्य कर्हिचिद् राजन् पुमान् वेद विधित्सितं यद्विजिज्ञासया युक्ता मुह्यन्ति कवयोभिः। हरे कृष्ण।
Right, Mirindamaji.
हरे कृष्ण न हि अस्या करिचिद् राजन् पुमान् वेदः विदित्सितं यद्विजिज्ञासा युक्ता मुह्यन्ति कवयो अपिः। हरे कृष्ण।
Right. Snigdhamaji. Right, Mirindamaji.
Na, never, he, certainly, asya, his, karichit, whatsoever, rajan, O king, puman, anyone, veda, knows, viditstitam, plan, yat, which, vijignasa, with exhaustive inquiries, yuktaha, being engaged, muhyanti, bewildered, kavayaha, great philosophers, api, even, he, certainly. Translation: O king, no one can know the plan of Lord Shri Krishna, even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively, they are bewildered. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. The bewilderment of Maharaj Yudhishthira over his past sinful acts and the resultant sufferings, etc., is completely negated by the great authority Bhishma, one of the 12 authorized persons. Bhishma wanted to impress upon Maharaja Yudhishthira that since time immemorial, no one, including such demigods as Shiva and Brahma, could ascertain the real plan of the Lord. So, what can we understand about it? It is useless also to inquire about it. Even the exhaustive philosophical inquiries of sages cannot ascertain the plan of the Lord. The best policy is simply to abide by the orders of the Lord without argument. The sufferings of the Pandavas were never due to their past deeds. The Lord had to execute the plan of establishing the kingdom of virtue, and therefore his own devotees suffered temporarily in order to establish the conquest of virtue. Bhishma Deva was certainly satisfied by seeing the triumph of virtue, and he was glad to see King Yudhishthira on the throne, although he himself fought against him. Even a great fighter like Bhishma could not win the battle of Kurukshetra because the Lord wanted to show that vice cannot conquer virtue regardless of who tries to execute it. Bhishma Deva was a great devotee of the Lord, but he chose to fight against the Pandavas by the will of the Lord because the Lord wanted to show that a fighter like Bhishma cannot win on the wrong side. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthavidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagada Mahyam Dadadi Swapadandiyam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudavadagamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunadanvidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishaganvidam Sam Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nidhi Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Vashabhanavi Devi Daityaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnanadayine Prabhave Namah माधुर्योजल प्रेमाढ्या श्रीरूपानुगा भक्तिदा गौरकर्णा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनतारिणे रूपानुगा विरधव सिद्धान्त द्वन्द्वहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्बर साम्बोधे पादाम्बुजे ते नमः नमः Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidanandamine Gaura Shakti Surubaya Rubanuga Varayade Gauravi Bhavumestam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhaumo Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Echai Goshai Puri Charan Bandhan Jahamote Vignanas Abhishta Puran Vancha Kalpadruvasya Kripa Sindhuvi Eva Cham Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayade Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namah Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Surupakam Bhaktavadaram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktigam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagalpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Jedam Suradopangor Mama Mandamade Gade Matsarvasvapadambojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vrindaranykalpakrimada Srimad Nagara Simhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prishthalavi Sevimano Smarami Sriman Rasarasarambhi Vamshi Vadat Kashan Venusunair Gopi Govinada Shriyetunam Taptakanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabhanasude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna संसिदे अतिरते पांडो पृथावालज प्रजावधू युष्मत्कृते बहून् क्लेशान् प्राप्ता तो कवदी मुहुः. As far as my daughter-in-law Kunti is concerned, upon the great General Pandu's death, she became a widow with many children, and therefore she suffered greatly. And when you were grown up, she suffered a great deal also because of your actions. Hare Krishna. So, Bhishma Deva knew very well why Krishna had brought Yudhishthira to him. He knew that Krishna wanted Bhishma to instruct Yudhishthira on religious principles. Of course, Yudhishthira was a Dharmajna, but now he was undergoing very painful or maybe guilty feelings, and he was counting himself to be responsible for the massacre in the Kurukshetra war. He was depressed, despondent, and though many persons tried to remove that, Yudhishthira was not satisfied. His sorrow, melancholy remained, and so Krishna arranged so much like that manner, so that he was brought to Bhishma Deva, and Bhishma Deva, the very beginning itself, started how much problem, terrible sufferings, and injustice have been done to good souls. So Bhishma Deva tried to impress upon Yudhishthira that he is not responsible for conducting a war, which created so much havoc and destruction, killing almost 64 crores of people in this war. So right from the beginning, he started that you have suffered a lot, and a lot of injustice was also done to you. So this war was an account of bringing justice to sufferings of Pandavas, gross injustice, and also to re-establish themselves, reaffirm their sovereignty over the kingdom. And now he started narrating what are the sufferings which the Pandavas had to undergo. Starting with Kunti Devi, he said that Kunti Devi became a widow at a very young age. The great General Pandu had died prematurely on account of several curses. He had a very short life because of that. And Kunti Devi became a widow. And she had the responsibility of bringing up 5 children. And this is not an easy thing, because she was all alone in the forest. The only help she had was Madra, and Madra had also done sati. She entered the fire of Pandu, and then she accompanied Pandu. So Kunti was left alone. Kunti Devi was left alone to fend for herself and also for her children. And then, by the mercy of grace of Bhishma Deva, they were brought to Hastinapura. And Hastinapura also, they had to undergo a lot of suffering because on a kind of envious approach of Duryodhana and Dushasana and other Kauravas, who were trying to torture the Pandavas or always try to bring so many trouble to Pandavas. Every day, Pandavas had to undergo this kind of difficulties on a kind of envious attitude of the Kauravas. And Kunti Devi, seeing all this, suffered silently. Because in front of her, so many her children were harassed. And she could do nothing. She couldn't complain. She could have complained to this Bhishma Deva, but she didn't want to do that, because that will complicate things. And only lit up more envy in the hearts, in the minds of Duryodhana. Suppose Bhishma Deva chastises Duryodhana, and Bhishma Deva had done it several times also, and Duryodhana became more and more antagonistic and hostile towards the Pandavas. So Kunti Devi was a silent witness to all this, and she suffered, and she tolerated this. Krishna asks us to tolerate all the reverses in the life. In the life, there will be so much happiness. Sometimes there will be happiness, sometimes there will be sorrow. So we have to undergo this ecumenically. And Bhagavad Gita also teaches us, Krishna teaches us through Bhagavad Gita. What is the verse?
What, Prabhuji?
Which is a verse which teaches us that to tolerate silently the sufferings, both happiness and sorrow.
सुखम दुखम समं कृत्वा लाभ लाभो जया जयो.
The tolerance is not there. This is a very famous verse. Mata spasha sukaundeya.
कंपेय शीतोष्ण सुख दुखदा आगम आपाय नित्य तंग तितिक्षस्व भारत.
Titikshasa means tolerate.
Tolerance, yes.
So Kunti Devi was tolerating all this. And when the children started growing up, one would have, believed. This is just understanding that when you become a widow, you suffer because you have to bring a heavy responsibility to bring up the children. But one comfort is that the feeling that once the children grow up, my sorrows, sufferings, troubles, difficulties would be removed. My children will take care of that. But that didn't happen. Kunti had to undergo more difficulties because actions of Pandavas. Pandavas took part in that Draupadi wedding, and then Arjuna won that competition, and he got married Draupadi. But when they came back to their house, where they were incognito, they were not. They were hiding themselves, and they were not staying in the palace at the time, because after this wax house incident, Pandavas were roaming here and there. So again, there was suffering because they're supposed to stay in a hospital, in a palace, and rule. But instead of that, they had to go from one forest to another. And finally, they reached this wedding ceremony of, where it was being conducted, and Arjuna won the hand of Draupadi. But when they reached the house of where Kunti Devi was there, and then Yudhishthira said that, Mother, we have got a gift for you, and Draupadi immediately, Kunti Devi immediately said that you have to share it within yourself equally. So that is also a very embarrassing, ultimately it proved to be very embarrassing for Kunti Devi. And then again, Pandavas took part in the gambling. Maybe Yudhishthira was invited for gambling, and he went ahead. Although nobody was in favor of that, many even advised Yudhishthira not to go for this gambling. But Yudhishthira went ahead, and then he sacrificed every possession, and he pawned himself, and then he pawned his brothers, and he finally pawned his wife also. So this action of Pandavas increased the misery of Kunti Devi. So instead of bringing solace to her, the actions of Pandavas only increase her troubles. So that is what Bhishma is pointing out. So suffering is there for both the mother as well as the children also. And because Pandavas were subject to very unjust moves by Duryodhana and others, they have planned to deprive the Pandavas of their kingdom, and they cheated Pandavas, and this they had to undergo. So Pandavas suffering doubled, or rather Kunti's suffering doubled, because Pandavas were subject to so much of exploitation and unfair dealings and being cheated. So Kunti was a witness to all this. So Kunti was again suffering. So this is Bhishma Deva is pointing out that all these things happened, and whatever happened later, Yudhishthira should not hold himself responsible. So the next verse, he says, Vishnu says, Sarvam kalagridam manni bhavadam cha yada priyam sabalo yad vashe loko vayoreva dhanavali. So Vishnu is explaining actually what is the real cause of this havoc created through the war, through this Kurukshetra war. The real cause actually is time only. Time is all is due to inevitable time, under whose control everyone in every planet is carried, just as the clouds are carried by the wind. So a simile is given here, like the clouds are being carried by wind. The force of wind carries the cloud here and there. Like that way, the time, inevitable time, is controlling everything within all planets and within everything in the universe. He is controlling, the time is controlling all the planets, and whatever are there in the universe, that is also being controlled by the time. So that means every planet and every residence, whatever is inside these planets and the whole universe, is under the control of time. Nobody is free from the control of time. Everybody is subject to control of time only. And this Kala is actually a representative of the Lord within this material world. Kala is there in Golok Vrindavan also, but doesn't have a destructive effect as is having in the material world. Because in the material world, the Kala diminishes everything. It diminishes everything, and finally it diminishes everything. But in the spiritual world, it is not like that. So whoever is inside this material world, they are subject to control of time. And Yudhishthira should not think that the sufferings which is undergoing now is an account of his previous birth. Normally, when we are suffering or when we are enjoying also, the reason that is being pointed out, the cause that is being pointed out is your karma, mangala karma, amangala karma, pious acts and sinful acts. Because of pious acts and sinful acts, either you are promoted to heavenly planets or you are depromoted to hellish planets. So this is the influence of karma. But here, Bhishmadeva says that Yudhishthira is dharmajna, is dharma himself. Suppose the dharma person who is dharmajna is under the influence of karma, then there is no meaning to this dharma. Do you understand? Dharmajna, a person who is thorough knowledge of dharma, he will never commit either sinful act or pious act. He knows the consequences of both these actions, both auspicious and inauspicious, that it will create bondage only. All auspicious and inauspicious acts create bondage only. And so Dharmajna, he knows it very thoroughly. So he will not get into this bondage. So Yudhishthira, being a Dharmajna, son of Dharma personified, will never indulge in the ghastly acts which prolongs one's bondage in the material world. Then why should Yudhishthira blame himself then? Why should Yudhishthira think that all this happened on account of me only? I'm responsible for this. It is my ambition to become emperor that has created all this. Why should Yudhishthira think in those lines? So we have to understand that everything is under control of time only. Because of time, all these things are happening. But those persons who are devotees, who are devoted to Krishna and religious principles and guided by bona fide Brahmana or Vaishnava, having spiritual master, and these three people will not be even controlled by time also. As Krishna is not coming under control of time, those who are great devotees of Krishna also, they don't come under the time. Otherwise, everyone is under the spell of time only, right from starting from Brahmaji down to the Indragopa. Everyone is under time of control, control of time only. Yes, saying that compared to Sudarshan Chakra also.
Prabhuji, I have one question. Even
Yes.
Brahmaji is a devotee of Krishna, then why is he under influence of time?
Who is a devotee of Krishna?
Brahmaji.
Brahmaji. Yeah, Brahmaji in the sense that the lifespan of Dharma, Brahmaji, is controlled by time only. the Brahmaji also faces death. He is also subject to death. Maybe he's having a longevity, great longevity of 313 years, trillion years. But that doesn't mean that he is going to be eternal. So the destructive effect of time will also prevail on Brahma also.
No, but my question
Yes,
is, Prabhuji,
yes, I
the
understand. I
Yeah.
understand that you said since devotees are not under this one, why should Brahmaji, who's also a devotee, should be under time, under influence of time, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
But it is also said that Brahmaji, after this the period, his period is over, he is after that is transported to Vaishnava Vaikuntha also, but not directly as a pure devotee. He has to stay in a cusp where it's actually not Vaikuntha, but after that sometime only he is going back to Vaikuntha or spiritual planets.
Okay, Prabhuji.
And in this material world is more accepted as a controller of the universe's its actions. He's actually a controller rather than a devotee in the rasas, different rasas. So as a matter of this one, Srila Prabhupada says that Brahmaji is also under the influence of time. And time also influences, provokes action also. So in Brahma Samhita, it's also said that Yastindirgova Advendra Hosakurma Bandhani Rupa Balabhajana Yakanodi Karmani Nirdhadi Kinducha Bhakti Bhajam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The idea is that the person with young longevity, who is a controller of great controllers like Deva and the Indra and the Brahmaji, they are also under the influence of time. This is not trying to contract that Brahmaji is also devoted. So why should Brahmaji be under control of time? But it's only indicated that even the greatest Brahma, who's having such a long period of span of lifetime, he is also subject to time because of the destructive nature of quality of time. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Not fully convinced.
Kind of. What I understand is maybe he was not.
No, it is Srila Prabhupada is saying in a different context. He is trying to focus on what you got the destructive quality of the time. Now Brahmaji is having a long span of life. So even Brahmaji, who's having a long span of time, is also coming under destruction. But it's a different thing that Brahmaji is also a devotee of Krishna. So in Bhagavad Gita, you find that after Brahmaji time is over, Brahmaji is also going back. But while he is within this material relation,
Prabhuji is froze, right? Is it just me or others can hear Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I think his net is down little bit.
Okay. I thought it was just me. Okay.
No, we are not able to hear him.
Okay.
I think he will join again, I think.
Yes, Mataji, he joins normally. Even last time he got disconnected and he joined back.
Yeah.
Sorry, that got.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
So again, this verse also is highlighting the influence of the inevitable time. Now, Pandavas are, they're not a very mean force. Yudhishthira is the son of Dharma himself, Yamaraja, and Bhima is very strong, son of Vayu, and Vayu, as you have seen, that can control even the planets. And then Arjuna is a great bowman and also a great friend of Krishna. So they're experts in time management, experts in religious matters, experts in fighting also, and very powerful. And as far as spirituality or rasa is concerned, they are different rasas. Bhimasena is in the rasa of Dasa, servant. Arjuna is in the rasa of friend, Bhakta, Sakha. And Yudhishthira, Vatsalya. Because Yudhishthira considers, although he is very respectful to Krishna, he still considers Krishna to be a young brother. Krishna is much younger to Yudhishthira, and Yudhishthira has got a lot of affection for Krishna in a Vatsalya rasa. Arjuna has got a lot of affection for Krishna in Sakha rasa, and Bhima has got affection for Krishna in Dasi rasa. So with this, and even with this guidance of Krishna also, Bhishmadeva says, trying to point out that everything is because of time only. With that, Pandavas had a lot of reverses in their life also. And influence of time is so great that hundreds and thousands of kings, they were in the various yugas. There were many kings in Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, canto 12, chapter 3, Bhumi Geetam, verses 9 to 13. It lists a lot of great kings like Prithu Maharaj, Pururava, Gadhi, Nahusha, Bharada, Kartivirarjuna, Mandada, Sagara, Rama. Rama is different from Sri Rama. Katwanga, Dunduha, Raghu, Tunabandhu, Yayati, Saryati, Sandanu, Gaya, Bhagirada, Kurashwa, Kugusta, Nasidha, Nirga, Hiranyakashipu, Vrida, Ravana, who made the whole world lament. Namuchi, Sambara, Bhauma, Hiranyaksha, and Taraga, as well as many other great demons and kings who possess great powers of control over others, were all full of knowledge, heroic, all-conquering, and unconquerable. Nevertheless, O Almighty God, Lord, although they lived their lives intensely trying to possess me, those kings were subject to the passage of time. That means everybody wanted to dominate the earth. All these demons, all these great kings, everyone, they wanted to dominate the earth, but was subject to passage of time, which reduced them all to mere historical accounts, and none of them could permanently establish their rule. So this is a destructive purpose of time. And next verse, Shukdev Goswami said, O mighty Parikshit, I have related to you the narrations of all these great kings who spread their fame throughout the world and then departed. My real purpose was to teach transcendent knowledge and renunciation. Stories of kings lend power and opulence to these narrations, but do not themselves constitute the ultimate aspect of knowledge. So in this verse, a word paramartha is used. Paramartha used. Kada imasta kahida mahiyasam vidaya lokeshu yasha parvesham vijnana vairagya vivakshasya vibho vacho vivurd natu paramarthyam. Nadu Paramartyam. So he is the purpose of narrating all these instances of Shukdev Goswami tells Parikshit Maharaj that to teach a transcendent knowledge and renunciation only, these stories of kings, they lend opulence to these narrations, but they do not in themselves constitute the ultimate aspect of knowledge. Paramartha means ultimate, the greatest knowledge. So one of these Mayavadi narrators of Srimad Bhagavatam, speakers of Bhagavatam, he says that this indicates that the stories mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam are not true. Natu Paramarthyam is concocting, is giving a different meaning, is twisting this meaning of given in Srimad Bhagavatam. What they do is just pick one word and then they say that this is all the stories in Srimad Bhagavatam are not true. It's only myth. It's only created only. They want to establish these things. It's a great offense when you see that these great epics, like great Puranas like Srimad Bhagavatam, they are only mythology, not true, because they don't consider a real understanding of this Srimad Bhagavatam. The previous verses very clearly mentions that these kings were subject to passage of time. So, and then in the very next verse, and verse 15, Sukadeva Goswami say, the persons who desires pure devotional service to Lord Krishna should hear the narrations of Lord Uttama Shlokas, glorious qualities, the constant chanting of which destroys everything inauspicious. The devotee should engage in such listening in regular daily assemblies and should also continue his hearing throughout the day. So, what is a real Paramarthya is to render devotional service to Krishna, listen to his glories, listen to his Leela's pastimes, and chanting his holy name. This is actually having the most beneficial. Paramarthya is, in Srimad Bhagavatam mentioned, is to understand Krishna and narrate his pastimes and listen to his pastimes and chant the holy name. So this vulgar fellow is saying that the stories, that the incidents which is mentioned, these narrations in the Srimad Bhagavatam is not true. Just speaking one sentence. So the point here is that we are just concerned with the 9 to 13 only, where Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhumi Devi narrates so many kings and asuras and great demons and very powerful personalities in our many yugas tried to control Bhumi, but they were made to zero by the passage of time. So this is destruction time of destructive quality of time, and everybody is subject to the influence of time. So the only solution we can see is that this is actually the intention of Krishna. Krishna wanted Pandavas to suffer temporarily so that there can be a war, and in that war, these unscrupulous, unreligious people headed by Duryodhana could be wiped out, and Vishra could be reinstated as a real ruler of Hastinapura. This was the intention of Krishna, because ultimately there should be war, and for that, as a forerunner of war, Pandavas had to undergo some tribulations temporarily. So actually, this is actually the will of Krishna, only it happened. Otherwise, next verse, I think we are running out of time. Nihi asya karhijit rajan puman veda viditsadam yet vijitnyasaya yukta muhyandi kavyo avi. Okay, no one can know the plan of Lord Krishna, even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively, they are bewildered. So Bhishma is consoling Vishra that you don't have to be so depressed, you don't have to look for the causes and all that. You may think that, okay, I am in front of time, then is it because of prarabdha only, my prarabdha karma only is happening? So even great demigods like Brahma and Shiva especially in the 8th chapter, 8th canto, I think he's narrating that he, the four Kumaras and the great people who are situated in sattvic mode, even they cannot understand Krishna. So what to speak of people who is under Rajo and Tamogunas? So even people in Sattva means people in Sattva means who is well versed in Shastras and modify their life. They live according to Shastras only. Who understand Shastras, who live according to principle Shastras. Even they are not able to understand Krishna. But so you can inquire, all these people can inquire, but ultimately it will not lead anywhere. Because if you inquire, then we first question we ask is, does Krishna want us to suffer? Or does he want us to enjoy? Or does he give joy? Or does he want to give us suffering as well as happiness? So Vishwanath Chakravarti says, cannot be first. That means he does not want us to suffer, because then his quality of being affectionate to devotees will be cancelled. Krishna is Bhakta Valsala. So if Krishna wants the devotees to suffer, then that quality will be annulled, nullified. Or it cannot be the second option, because he wants to give us joy. Then you can say that Pandavas can say that we are now in happiness, so he's not giving us joy. Then it cannot be the third option, because then there will be contradictions to his kind nature. He cannot see the tolerate unhappiness to Pandavas. So you cannot decide, you cannot solve this problem by inquiry. Inquiry means looking to these different possibilities. seeing the Vedas, studying the scriptures, and then trying to come to a conclusion. What could be the real cause of Pandava's suffering? So the verse says that even those who use their intelligence to discriminate and those who use the knowledge of scriptures, have the knowledge of scriptures, are equally bewildered by inquiry. So Srila Prabhupada says that only way to get out of this is to very submissively surrender to Krishna and abide by his instructions. It's the only way we can come out of bewilderment. We can accept that we are not in a position to understand Krishna fully, but the most beneficial thing for us is to surrender to Krishna and abide by his instructions. And when Krishna says, Man mana bhav mat bhakta madhyaji man namaskuru, you just chant the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and try to become his devotee. That's all. Thank you very much. Right? Anything more?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Paramarthi, what is the exact meaning? The person who understands Krishna and who understands every living soul.
Paramarthi.
Yes, yes. What is the exact meaning?
Where do you get this word from? This from the verse I quoted.
Yeah.
It's paramarthyam. Said paramarthyam. Paramarthyam means actually the artha means what is artha? That is one that is desirable.
Yes.
What everyone wants. Parama artha means parama the highest benefit. The highest benefit one can accrue. And that is the meaning of paramartha. When you say na paramartha, means paramartha, this person is taking as truth. One meaning of paramartha is truth. So when you say na paramartha, means he says that the stories of narrated in Srimad Bhagavatam is not true. But when you look at the context of this verse, it is very clear that it is not true. He said that is the greatest ultimate benefit. Because hearing these narrations of kings, although it helps us to some extent, it does not give you the highest benefit. The highest benefit can accrue to you only by listening to the narrations of Krishna's pastimes. That is the meaning.
Yes. Yes, Prabhuji. But it is different from Paramarthi.
Yeah, Paramarthi means one who desires for highest.
Yes, it is the opposite of Swarthi.
Yeah, no, it is not actually opposite. Paramartha means highest benefit. One person, Paramarthi means one who desires this Paramartha.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Right. Vancha kalpavruvista.
Patitanang pavanidhi Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Anande. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.